SBA EIDL Loan increase updates August 15th, 2022. How to get an alternative with the SBA 7A or 504 program, as well as plenty more through private lenders, the Sspci program, what states have opened, how much has been put into those organizations, PPP grants, ERTC, and a lot of secret business funding tips that nobody is sharing with you, including your strategic roadmap and strategic partnerships that is going to blow your mind. My name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. And before I get started, if you're here in the live, please give me a hashtag live in the comment section or a hashtag replay if you're watching later on. It is Monday. It's been a great weekend that just passed. Got out for a bit, went to a birthday party yesterday, came home feeling a little bit more tired. As you know, it's the end of a weekend, relaxed, watch a quick few shows, then went to bed, woke up this morning feeling more refreshed than ever, got my workout in, did some weight training, did some chest, a little bit of biceps, nothing heavy, just more repetition. Jumped in the shower, came down here to the office room, read a book or two or three or more. And then I got down and wrote a couple things that I'm very grateful for. And that's how I believe everybody should start their day off, with gratitude, appreciation, and being able to breathe in much more easily. Because I know in these times as a business owner, it's very difficult if you're put in a situation where you didn't receive any kind of COVID EIDL funding, the targeted advance grants, or these other COVID epidemic relief programs, as well as an increase, or you didn't get what you think you deserved. And a lot of these things happening because of the 4506T form, as well as a few other ones, documentation that wasn't correctly processed. If you heard me talking about that last week, that's what I specifically focused on. So I won't talk about it too much this week. But what's happening right now, not a lot of movement. The funds, quote unquote, are still exhausted for the EIDL program. And there's still a lot of it that's pumped into it. It's just it hasn't been released. There's just a lot of complications. They don't want it opening up. A lot of money going into other programs. The banks being more restrictive of who they can lend their money to. A lot of industries are being pushed back, where, let's say, for example, a construction company should have got 200,000 instead of they're probably getting 100,000 or less. And that's a way to help curb off inflation, everything happening right now with the interest rates. You probably already know about what's happening in the mortgage space and so much more, but I don't want to dilute you with all of that all at once. So just know that with the COVID EIDL increases, there are still a lot of people being processed in the queue. They're not being worked on at this time, but you may have received an email from an SBA agent just letting you know, hey, you've been declined, or this was probably the documentation that we needed, which was an email that was sent just a couple of months ago. And if you didn't get that, it shows that, hey, you may not be approved for an increase. For those of you who submitted your file on the May 6th deadline or before that, those are the ones that are being considered. So there's a lot of talk, a lot of stuff happening right now with the senators and them going publicly about this, how people were misinformed, not as educated about, hey, what's going on with my file? I heard you guys shut the program down, but I didn't get an email, or I wasn't told specifically why I was declined. And so this is a big problem that's been caused. And a lot of people, quote unquote, misinformed, although Administrator Guzman would say otherwise, which there is a case to that they weren't as easy to tell you, hey, we're going to exhaust, we're going to close down the program. And I get that. And that's where it becomes more of a concern than anything. And that's priority number one. So just keep looking out for my content. I'll be coming out with more updates on the EIDL and just letting you guys know what's happening there. And in terms of what an alternative funding program you guys can look into, I have one on the share screen I want to go into possibly in a second. But it is an SBA 7A loan. You have a 504. You have the microloans, the Community Advantage Program, the 8A, which is more of a mentoring program. But with the 7A, you have things like the Express, the Standard. You have larger sizes. You have the Capline program. Hi, Sophie. How are you doing? Welcome in. And so you have plenty of different alternatives. But what you want to know is that the EIDL program and this SBA 7A that everybody's been speaking about, you've been hearing me for the past weeks. And if you haven't and you're just new to the channel, I've been speaking about this alternative as an SBA 7A loan. And if you haven't seen me again in the past, I come out with content on all business loans, cash advances, building business credit, fixing, improving credit repair, taking advantage of different opportunities. I run multiple businesses, and so I have different backgrounds, and this is my main focus. I've always wanted to do this. I've been doing this for quite a long time now and been helping a lot of business owners get the right type of financing. And what's most important is when I speak about this SBA 7A, you have to have a strategic partnership and a roadmap, not only with the 7A program, but with private lenders, non-private lenders. And what I mean by that, and I'll show you on the share screen in a moment, you can't just go around anywhere and just apply. You guys can't go, you hear about On Deck or you hear about Lendio, you hear about Lending Tree. I'm not going to start naming all of them. And I have direct lender partnerships with a lot of legitimate lenders. And then I have indirect partnerships that we work through a brokerage, but I have those partnerships. It's kind of not confusing, but it's just they work within that brokerage. And what I recommend is a lot of the time going in this direction because we can get you the best offer without it having to hurt your score. A lot of it can be a soft inquiry. We're not shooting this information, so everybody's calling you. We're protecting your privacy. Other companies don't do that. They don't even tell you that. They just say, hey, just apply here and a robotic response will get back to you. Here's an offer. Well, you didn't like it? Well, I'm going to email you, contact you, try to call you, text message you. And now other lenders are trying to get in and you didn't even know it was sent out through the credit consumer bureaus and then Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. They're sending it out to other people. And now you put yourself in a situation where you don't want to be. And so be careful of just going to this spray and pray method. You don't want that. What you want to have is an education first, the idea of where to go when I communicate that with you, and then third, get into the application process after you know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of these other times, you're applying and applying. You shouldn't be doing that. And then you get an offer. If you do, you're like, well, I didn't want that offer. Well, there's a reason why you possibly got it. It could either be good or bad. I can communicate it with you. But after you know, you're like, oh, I know why I got $50,000 at a $350 a day payment with because of the underwriting. And if I didn't go to this lender, it would have been different there. So you have to have more of a strategic approach. And that means having a right partnership with somebody who has networks with those lenders. Hey, Michael, they work through you. Okay, they know me. I send a file over, the right one. They go, oh, it's Michael's file. I know who this client is, and I know what I can do for them. Because we have those relationships, and I have that team, that network, and that's what you want to go through. Not just, well, I saw an ad on this company. I saw an ad on that one, so I'm going to go and apply to one of these, and then I'm going to apply to the next one. You got to go through a business loan broker, an expert, such as myself. And I'm going to be here to walk you through the process on how an SBA 7A loan works, how to do it if you're trying to acquire a business, what we actually need, what actual documentation I'm going to have to need, like possibly some kind of a disclosure. There's more agreements. And on top of that, what other type of financing you're looking to achieve. But don't get stuck on, well, I didn't get a COVID EIDL loan. Well, now let me turn to this SBA 7A loan because that should be the solution. There's $5 million into this program with 7.59 to 9.5% fixed interest, or if it's variable, could be a little bit higher than that. And the interest rates are only climbing. So right now is the time for you guys to get in more specifically with an SBA 7A loan than anything. Like you can use asset-based financing outside of an SBA loan. And there's also these unsecured financing options where you probably get between 19 to 50% or 19 to 70% and above. Just depends on who you go to. Got to go to the right source. But those are unsecured. If you have assets, if you're in a situation right now where you're like, I got a cash advance for 50%, what's the deal? Well, I've possibly already communicated to you why this is. And if you haven't gone through that yet, you're going to be frustrated. You're just going to be continuing to look for something that's not out there. So you have to understand if this is my only option, if I can't get an SBA 7A loan right now, which an SBA 7A needs to be used for growth and expansion primarily. Those need to be the funds where they're going to be applied to, and it should produce to you a longer return on your investment. It can be short, but it has to be long-term as well for us to give you up to 10 years in working capital and up to 10 years sometimes in equipment, and even a little bit more business acquisition, and then up to 25 or so with the real estate side of this. And so there is also an SBA commercial real estate loan through the 7A program, as well as others with commercial property mortgages. If you guys are interested, I have a lot of inquiries. I have a lot of people who are getting those right now, specifically real estate investors, builders, people in the technology space, construction, and a lot more other industries who are getting these SBA 7A loans. And that's if you qualify. So I made more content on it. I'll link you guys to down below. I even made a video series on SBA EIDL versus SBA 7A, SBA EIDL versus unsecured term loans versus cash advances. And I will be coming out with more in the future for that. So make sure you refer to that down below, as well as the commercial real estate side of the equation if you're interested in that. But the SBA 7A, attractive terms, up to $5 million in funding, better rates, as I just mentioned, and it should be used for fueling growth and expansion. And so that's a great program. And there's a hybrid SBA 7A loan product that a lot of people are going through right now. They're raving for it. They're like, feed me. I want to see this. And why it's so amazing, it's because it's the combination of getting an unsecured financing product in the meantime while you're getting approved for the SBA 7A. We can look at it and say, hey, we can get you a line of credit up to $150,000. Oh, for 12 months? Wow, at 12%. Wow, that's phenomenal. And then you say, I got approved for $2 million with the SBA, so then I can just use this for 6 months, pay it off. I don't need the line of credit, or I can hold on to it if I want, or it's a cash advance, or it's an unsecured term loan. But if you need bridge money right now that you can use, take it and use it, and you need it right away, that's a great solution to go through. Even if it's not what you need, it's a great way to go through this program and see, okay, what can I exactly qualify? If I don't want it now I know how much I would be given in the underwriting process. This makes sense. Wow. Well, I wish I would have done that before. Instead of going through all these multiple services, we can get it through one SBA financing product. And there's some that are more individual. So we don't have to look at the hybrid or the bridging unsecured financing solutions. We can go directly to the SBA. But those are just a few of them. And so I want to jump on the share screen with you guys and show you a few solutions that I am talking about right now and why a strategic partnership is of utmost importance moving forward in today's market. Do not take what I just said lightly. If you do, you will be kicking yourself in your own foot, kicking the couch, banging yourself against the wall, thinking, I should have listened to this guy telling me about what's happening today in the market, the huge shift right now outside of COVID EIDL loans. And if you're applicable to getting another SBA loan or what are these other private lending solutions, right now is your time to act. But before I show you that SBA solution, I want to show you this. I'm sure you guys have likely seen this, so bear with me. For those of you who are new, may not know what it is I'm talking about. But what you're seeing here on the share screen is 2 million plus business funding with strategic partnerships and having the right roadmap without struggling and messing up badly. Now, why do you have this on the screen is what you're asking me. Well, a lot of people look like the individual here. We call her Jan. And Jan, she's just head on the table there, almost there. She has her hand on her forehead, just frustrated that everybody's been letting her down. Everybody's been overpromising, under-delivering. She's just at the end of her workday. She doesn't want to deal with another broker or another agent who's going to overwhelm her. She has all these options on the table, but is unsure of what to do. She doesn't have the right roadmap. Nobody's actually clearing things up for her, educating her, showing you, hey, it's okay to take a day to think about it. You don't have to rush into things. Take a day. Take the weekend over. Yeah, look at these two. I drew a roadmap for you. This is what you must do if you want to have success in this. But she's feeling like, this is it. I'm done. I'm just going to take whatever I can get and then see what I get thereafter. Have you been in this situation before? Have you been Jan here where you just took an offer, you looked at one and you said, no, I could do better than this, or I'm not sure if there's better for me out there. I need to speak with an expert on this. We've all been here. I've been in your shoes too. It's difficult when you're just getting started in your business and you have no revenue. You build it from the ground up. It's like your baby and you're on a mission and you weren't just buying a business. When you've been in this position where, hey, no revenue, took me months on months, even years to get in the 1,000+ range. I worked hard for this. I sweated blood and literally tears trying to make this work. And I've been there. I did that with my last 3 businesses. This one included with those other ones. And it isn't easy. I put my head down and I worked for years. That's why you guys didn't hear about me time and time ago, because I was working hard behind the scenes. I wasn't always in front of a camera. I was the one always blogging. I was the one having to put a social media post when I could put it, and a few bits in there. And then I later on started getting more comfortable with the idea of a video, even though it's not my primary my favorite thing as an introvert, but I know it gives you guys a lot of value. And I'll come over here to the comment section in just a moment, guys. I appreciate you guys. Please stick with me. I will answer anything you guys are saying as I go. But back to this share screen. Jan here is just, now I got to go see my boyfriend. I got to go see my husband or whoever it is, eye to eye, make eye contact and say, not today, Brad. Sorry, didn't work. Or would you rather be somebody here like Lisa? Lisa is just having the time of her life. Look at her. She's smiling into the camera. She can look at it with her two eyes with confidence. Her eyes don't roll to the left or to the right because she doesn't want to make that eye contact. And she has the sun blazing right in front of her face. In front of her, she sees the waves that are very calm, not choppy. Weather's great. Her husband, Brian, is perhaps right next to her, just looking over at her, seeing her smile on her face because she can take time off from her business. She doesn't have to work in it. She doesn't even have to work outside of it. She hasn't had to look at her phone every second to text her receptionist, an administrator, a co-owner. Hey, how's the business running? Can you make sure we get raw materials for this? We need a better distribution. We need to make sure we get the right supplies. Hey, no worries, Lisa. We got it taken care of. We have the business funding. We have the necessary cash flow. We've saved up enough. And we got extra business funding to add on top of that. So now we have capital reserve. How we choose to spend it, we have it over a year for our customers. If anybody comes and goes, we're ready to make the necessary changes we need. And I haven't thought about this since I left 3 days ago. So she's having the time of her life right now. She could be in Bali. She could be in Bahamas. She could just be in California, enjoying the nice warm weather. And she's so happy to be there and not have to worry about, oh, well, who's going to be taking care of my business? I don't have funding. I have to survive. I don't want to declare bankruptcy. I don't want to do anything with foreclosures. These liens that are adding on top of my reports, my goodness. She doesn't have that. She's cleared it up because not only did she get business funding, she also took the approach of fixing her credit. She went through credit repair when she needed it. I was there for her to help her. She got the up to $2 million plus in funding. She then transitioned from these cash advances to these unsecured term loans and just lines of credits to an SBA 7A loan. Now she has years upon years and more capital than ever to make better decisions. But how did Lisa get here? That is the number one question we're all asking ourselves. Did she just go from the COVID loan to a PPP before, and then she had jumped on top of grants and then the employee retention tax credit? Well, did she go from a cash advance and have it for 3 years before she could finally get a better term? Well, she did fix her credit, so she went from these cash advances of a minimal, of not a maximum amount. She added a few. She had 2 to 3 positions. We came in, we cleared it up. We brought in a monthly lender. And then on top of that, clean her credit reports. She has a better option now to get a line of credit as opposed to where she was before. She was over leveraged at the time. But then she came in, got a line of credit, got an unsecured loan. Now she has over $500,000. And then we can put that underneath an SBA. Now we consolidated those underneath the SBA loan. And now she only has the SBA to worry about. See what the solutions are? I hope that's ringing a bell in your guys' head. That's how you build a roadmap, and everybody's different here. So let me go to your guys' comments, and I'll come back to the share screen. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? You missed out on the first PPP and EIDL? Yeah, like many. I've had a business since 2017. Nice. There's some maturity in that over that just about 5-year frame. Is there anything out now I can get, or is PPP coming back? Good question. This goes for everybody listening. No on the PPP, just forgiveness. A lot of fraudulent activity. If I didn't say this in this video, I did say it last week. The PPP with the EIDL, a lot of fraud, tons of it. I can't release some of the stuff that clients have been doing. They haven't done it correctly. They've been misusing that funding, abusing it. A lot of laundering, a lot of other stuff that I just can't say. But there's going to be about a 10-year period of investigation underneath a few acts. I won't go into what the letter was all about, but This is what happens when people are not responsible and accountable for using the money right. And it's so right. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's righteous or right for anybody to investigate people on this? I do. Of course. It is 110%. I'm on board with it. Why shouldn't I be? Why should I let people off the case saying, hey, you caused fraudulent activity, you should be forgiven? We can actually pay this off. We don't have to worry about making the repayment on that. You were told, probably underneath the past administration, it wasn't as evident or it wasn't as open, like with all of these guidelines, like it had changed over time after the 502 million in additional amount of funding. But you're responsible to know how you use this money. Why are you using it the way you shouldn't be? So I'm on board with it. And I had a conversation with a client the other day. We got into the SBA EIDL, how he received funding, how he was doing it appropriately. And he said, yeah, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble. And I said, yeah, it's coming. And here we are. And he was telling me a lot like, yeah, people shouldn't have been using it the way they did. And, they have what they have coming for them. And it's the truth. Like, I love you guys, but at the same time, we have to be honest. Why did we use the funds they shouldn't have been used like? Because I needed to survive. But there were other reasons. So although we're in a bad situation, don't make it worse than what it already is. So yes, I can support that. And it may be a different view you have. But I think it's right that there's an investigation. The government needs to get involved with all of this. We need to have a better organized economy. This is the result of it. So yeah, it makes sense in a lot of ways. Now, it depends on certain things they may be doing in it that maybe not. But is there anything out now? Well, there's the employee retention credit, and that's where I'm going to jump into. You can get up to $26,000 per employee if you have multiple employees underneath you. That's one program, and it's a refundable tax credit. It's for payroll purposes. It doesn't have to be paid back. Again, it's not a loan. And I made a separate video on this. If you would like to learn all about the details, I created an over an hour video. I even walked you through the application process. So if that's something that does apply to you, I won't get onto all the specifics in this video, but I do have a separate one. I think it's in the description. If not, I'll try to put it in there in time. Let me actually write it down so I don't forget. And then on top of that, you have grant opportunities, the Sspci program. I'll jump into that in just a second, but I want to show you guys this SBA program that is available for many of you. Just depends on what funding details you have. Somebody who's doing over $500,000 a year, what is their profitability? If we go that extent, we can go through an SBA loan. What does their credit look like? Well, how much time in business do they have? What industry are you in? What kind of use of these funds are they going to be applied for? If it's an acquisition, we have to do that a little bit differently than we do if it's going to be applied to your own business. And so you may qualify for that. You may qualify for a line of credit. You may have a collateral. What I recommend a lot of you guys do, if you have collateral, you guys can use real estate, equipment, accounts receivables, unpaid invoices, inventory to secure the funding. A lot of people right now are going through me getting inventory financing, accounts receivables, unpaid invoices through an invoice factoring company, real estate, equity. That's the key word, equity. If you have enough equity in a property or properties, we can look at getting you funding. And a lot of these can go between less than 15% in interest. Unless you want to get unsecured financing, you're looking at about 19% and above. That's just the reality of it. And it's nothing wrong with getting these 19% and above interests. The thing you have to understand is, does the benefit exceed your repayment? Are these funds I'm taking, am I going to get a good return on my investment? If so, how long? Will it be 3 months from now? Would it be earlier? Would it be a little bit longer? Would it be more long-term and or? So you have to look at it as a return on the investment. If you're putting in $20,000 in your business, you need it for cash flow, working capital. I need a new piece of equipment, and then I'm paying back about $30,000 on that. Well, you might think $30,000 is quite a bit for paying it back in 8 months. To a lot of people, it will, because they can't afford to. Your cash flow wouldn't be in a position, or it's not now, where it's sustainable enough. You would just go crashing backwards because you have negative days, you have non-sufficient funds, you have overdrafts, chargebacks. And so with all that said, you're already struggling to stay up afloat. So you're looking for debt relief money. You're looking for, how can I pay off all these high interest credit cards, which should be a factor, but it shouldn't always be your primary one if you're getting these types of cash advances. Now, if you come up to the table with collateral, then we're in a different conversation. So a lot of people are very unrealistic right now. I had quite a few people the other day I had to educate on with my material. They were going, I want 3% interest rates. And then other ones, specifically in real estate financing, I go, that's not going to exist in today's market. Doesn't matter whatever lender tells you, that will not work. Unless you're looking at 0% interest rates for 6 to 18 months through credit line hybrids with more credit cards. It's a credit card stacking program. And I'll leave more information to all this for you guys down below in the description. So make sure you guys check it out. I'll probably leave a little link tree so you guys can check it out. And so that's what I say to that is just be aware that it's the benefit exceeding your repayment. It isn't necessarily the costs. The cost of labor is this. The cost of my production will be this cost. I have these business operational expenses, and the list goes on, and you're just still trying to recover. But when you're trying to grow your profits, when you're trying to grow your revenue on a monthly basis, what are your margins? What kind of products do you sell? How are you making your sales? What are your sales? What is your revenue? Sales is one part. Revenue is another. Sales is what makes up your revenue, along with other things like rent and other forms. That's just a couple. And so when I have to understand, like, what is this being applied to? Well, it's just to help me recover, and you can't make the repayments. Well, it makes sense. This isn't supposed to be cheap unless you come in it with collateral. And that's the primary thing I want to make a note of. 1 second here. And I'm going to go into the SBA. I apologize if it's a little dark. My last HP computer didn't do this, so I have to open up the HP lighting. Supposedly it's supposed to work, and it does, but it just ends up going dark at points. So if anybody has a solution to that, and I haven't taken time to actually read through it, I've been so busy. Anybody who has an HP laptop, I have the ring that turns on the light, and then it goes dark, and then it comes back. And so I'm just haven't taken the time, and I will do it. But if anybody's had an experience with that. Now I got to move this HP lighting. That's I don't think I can move it like by dragging it. That's the downfall to this. So let me come to your question. Hey, how are you doing? I was wondering if you can get back with me regarding my email. Thanks. Yeah, I will. What I recommend for those of you who haven't received an email back from me, I'm not going to get into the speech you probably heard before where, hey, I'm flooded, which is true. What I would then do is reply back or send in another response so it appears at the very top, and let me know who I am responding to. Sometimes I can't see because we have a username. I don't always get to see the name of the person. So if that's the case, do that. If not, it's okay. I'll go through my emails and I'll respond back to you guys. It is going to be about maybe 2 today that I go through some of them, not all of them. But I've been working on projects this morning and then reaching out to quite a few people today. If you're one of the individuals who didn't pick up your phone today, it's okay. But we're dragging this out. You applied a week ago. I let you know what was up, what was going on in the underwriting. You received your offer today. I didn't want to call people. I had to because they were unresponsive. And that's the whole point, is don't come to me if you're not going to give me feedback. If you're an individual who just starts something and doesn't end it, and at least says, I'm not interested in that offer, and then go, what better can you do for me? At least you're trying, not, I'm not interested. Okay? Well, let's figure out why that's the case, that you got the offer you received. I can't disclose everything, but you'll probably have an understanding of why you received what you got. It's just, like today, I called multiple people. I'm sure they won't respond back to me. They haven't even sent me a text message. Their call went right to voicemail. I'm sure they're busy. That's the case. It might not be because I'm trying to call them and they know who it's coming from. I'm not going to pressure you. I'm just going to say, hey, did you happen to go over the offer like you said you were? I just wanted to know if you're still interested, and if not, why that's the case, period. But a lot of people, they come and they go, and that's not the way you want to do things. If you're shopping around for the lowest price, if you're that individual who's just going to go, and like I said, you need a strategic partnership and a roadmap. You have to stop this whole, I'm going to go and apply here. Well, how come he got 700,000 and I got only 200,000? That's the way you're going to answer? Wow. And so it's not about the other person. It's about you. What's in your file that we looked at? If it's personal credit, what comes up? Your revenue, your history, your statements, tax returns if necessary. If it's business credit and personal credit. and more. So you have to understand that process, that it's not just a quick, hey, I want to get in and out. No. And if you're not going to offer to give any kind of feedback, then we shouldn't even begin. If you're that individual who is going to start and not end something, because you can tell me if I ever start and don't end something, I wouldn't even begin to waste your energy and my time. And I'm saying the word waste as my keyword because that's what you're doing. If you're there just to ponder about how I want to just see what I can get offered, but I don't have an exact use of these funds for, that does you a lot more harm than good. I said this in the past. Don't just apply to funding just to see what you receive, because the lenders can see you in their system. There's this whole system I can't get into and disclose a lot of information on that I know about, but you shouldn't just apply. If you've left a lot of offers out there, guess what? Those lenders are now communicating with each other going, oh, well, this is Jeremy. What is he doing? He just took 3 offers. He never gave us feedback. He went from one to the next. He got lesser of an amount. Now he's coming back to me. Now I won't give him the exact same offer he had about a week or 2 ago. We can hold offers sometimes, yeah. With my connections, yeah. With others' connections, no. So somebody may need you to take it in the next day or 2. Well, I'll be like, well, probably hold it off for a week or 2. No longer than that. And we can't, if we can wait till the next month, sometimes we can wait a whole month, but we don't want to do that. Don't be an individual who applies and then goes, I became Homer Simpson and I went into the bushes and now I don't give anybody feedback. Nobody wants that. Nobody has time for that. That's the honest truth. And you're hearing it from me. And if the truth hurts, let it sink. If you have to sit there later and think about what I just said, do it, because it is the truth. You don't want other people feeling a way that you don't want to feel. You don't want to feel rejected. You don't want to feel left out. You don't want to feel like you did something wrong. So communication and feedback is number one. And I work with the best out there, and I work with people who are serious, people who get after it. Today, I processed SBA loans. I help people get their documentation together. I submitted it over to the lenders. We have our team networking and working with one another. I'll get more feedback in underwriting once it comes through. And that's just one component. There are other types of funding that I help a lot of people on. But if you're that individual who comes in and I'm like, oh, God, 3 weeks later, you're up here again. And it's like, you never told me what you were doing 3 weeks ago. Like, why did you just disappear? It would have been helpful of just at least knowing what you were doing. Don't be behind the scenes. Don't be secretive, just trying to look for other offers, trying to shop for the lowest price. Other people overwhelming you, I won't do that. I won't pressure you. But if you keep doing the things you're doing, you got to break out of that habit. And it will do a lot more harm, because I have people right now who, like one of them I called today, had over $40,000 in a reduced offer. I'm not even joking you. He applied like 2 months ago or so, came back to apply, wanted the same thing. I told him, if you didn't change what I told you to change, you didn't take action on the material that I sent you, what expects you to get the same results or any different? Right? Insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over without making any readjustments. You're a business owner. If I send you credit repair service and that's what you exactly need to get you back into getting a line of credit, do it. If it's this you need to do with business building your business credit, and then you have to do this with this program, and then I would do it this way, that's a roadmap that I'm building out. Not, okay, I'm going to apply 3 months later, and then you come back and I ask you the question, don't apply with me, with our underwriters and our lenders, unless you're serious and you know you're at least going to take the funding this time. Whether you get that line of credit or that cash advance or whatever way it didn't go, you will. The thing is, when you keep applying, you can get a reduced offer. They won't even give you anything. So I have a lot of people who've been given less than $50,000 than what they were supposed to be taking 3 months ago, but because they didn't know how exactly to use these funds for and a lot of other reasons, hey, now you're in a situation you are now. And if those people come back again, guess what? Now they're in deeper waters. They already had some arising circumstances, and now they're going to be in a situation where, like, hey, what are you doing? Now we have to start lower, but you can build your way up. Instead of getting that 100, 120,000, maybe you have 50, 40, 30,000, but you have to build your way up. You have to prove you're worthy now. Why are we investing this energy and time into somebody that's not going to reciprocate anything in return? It's all about relationships, guys. You guys are neglecting a relationship when it comes to it. At the end of the day, if you're just seeking out the best offer, I'm like just trying to price shop, window shopping. It's what everybody does. I'm guilty of it. I did it in the very beginning until I started to understand what the lenders were looking for, until I started to become the person who said, hey, I want to help other small businesses get funding and do it correctly. Not, I'm going to go apply here and then there and then, oh, and then, ah, E. You don't do that. That's not the way to do it. So let me jump right back over here and then I'll conclude. So this is the hybrid SBA 7A loan that I've been talking about, and I have separate content for you guys to check out down below. The hybrid is two separate loans. One is an unsecured financing product. It's a term loan, line of credit, or a cash advance. Excuse me, which can be funded easily and rather quickly. The other loan, this is a 10-year SBA term loan, which we can get a letter of intent within a couple of days, but 6 to 8 weeks is usually what it takes for you to actually receive your funds. And that's very common with an SBA loan. So it could take months on out to actually receive that funding. But in the meantime, we can give you bridge money. So bridge money here is the term loan, the line of credit, or the cash advance. And then even if you didn't want an SBA loan, a lot of the times we can pair up these products. We can do a line of credit with a term loan, a line of credit with a cash advance. So we can get you maximum funding. And I always recommend you have a cash advance ready, or excuse me, a line of credit in this time, so you can withdraw and use the funds as you choose, but just know you don't get approved as much as you do for a lump sum. So it would probably benefit you to take the lump sum instead of just the line of credit itself or the line of credit on its own. So these SBA loans go up to $5 million, as very common. A business needs to be generating 120K a year in gross revenue. And I want to put a pause on this because 120K is to be considered for the hybrid. The hybrid is the combination, again, with the unsecured financing on top of the SBA. So realistically, with an SBA loan, you should be doing north of 400,000. 500,000 and above is the benchmark. 500,000 and above, what you want to be looking for when you're trying to get an SBA 7A loan primarily. And so that's the benchmark you want to look at, is doing higher revenue, not just anything underneath 400, not even 400,000. In a lot of cases, 500,000 and above. Higher, what I recommend you doing is about $1 million and above to be looked at and be given the best opportunity, especially if you're looking for those standard 7A programs that get you more funding as opposed to just an express loan up to 350,000. So usually you want to, in today's market, you want to be doing higher revenue. I would say $1 million and above, but if you're above 500,000, great. There's those express loans. We can even get you the standard loans above 350,000. And then we want to look at collateral. You may not have to give it up. You may just put a down payment of 10% in a lot of cases, or you may not have to do that. And so it all depends on what you have on the table. I know some people recently who came through me were able to pledge by putting up collateral and a few pieces of real estate. So everybody's in a different situation, how much you want to give up, how much control, and so forth, and what the lender is specifically asking for and what they need to guarantee, and all these numbers that we were doing at the end of the day. So over here, keep that in mind. Again, the 120K is just the barometer to get in for those other options, but the SBA alone, you want to be doing more. And a revenue and a 660 FICO, again, that's going to be applied to like the unsecured financing options. You really want to have a 680 and above for the SBA 7A. In addition, we need to see 3 most recent business tax returns, which I'll get from you, and the 3 most recent years and year-to-date financials. The SBA goes primarily off of credit score and profitability of the business. And credit score, what I mean is not just the score itself, but what is it showing on all 3 consumer credit bureaus? What does your business credit look like? Is it established enough? Do you have enough accounts built? Are you working on it? That's what they want to see too. I can open up accounts, but am I working on them? You always want to continue to work on building business credit. And if you have business credit cards, of course, you're doing it. You're almost doing it without even thinking about it. So think about that. And over here, benefits, they are a monthly repayment, fixed interest, but could be variable due to the market shifts. And it can be a quarterly visit. And you guys are probably used to that as business owners. I am too. You do quarterly visits with your team. You discuss the positives, the negatives. You see where you're going, where you want to be in about a year's time from then. And you do a lot of these assessments. And if you guys are not sure about how to do all of that, a great book that I recommend, and I didn't learn it just from this book itself. You also learn it from experience. I learned it from other people. But one book that I've already read and one that I recommend to a lot of you is called Traction. So take a second to read this book by Gino Wickman. Over 1 million copies have been sold. This book is a must for any business owner and their management team. Traction provides a powerful, practical and simple system for running your business. So it shows you everything of operating your business from top to bottom. And he's had a lot of books that he's come out with. And this is just one of many that I recommend for you guys just getting started and probably been in business for quite some time. But I read a lot of books. And so over here, prime rates plus 1 to 2% or so. So more like 7.5 or 7 to 9.5%. And that's going to be more of a fixed. Variable could be a bit more. So needed 2 years of profitability is what we're looking at. It's not just the 1 year. You maybe had a bad year and then you were profitable one. I need 2 years of profitability. And certain lenders will look for at least 10% profitable. Some of them will be like 10 to 15%, up to 20%. You may be even more than that, so it's okay. But just 2 years of profitability is primarily what we want to see. Sometimes it was like 1, but 2 years is what we like to gauge it at. It gives us enough of a time frame to see your profit and loss, your balance sheets, and see what we can do if we need to adjust and how much you can actually get approved for. And I look at all this. I evaluated, I analyze your profit and loss statements. I looked at your balance sheets. I know what to look for, your bank statements, your tax returns. So I can sort all this out for you. And then I can go and see what we can do. So make sure you get that submitted to me, and I'll show you how that's possible. Underwriting checks. And the thing is, you don't want to go directly through like the SBA.gov. A lot of people are like, can't I just go directly? There are not enough benefits to doing it that way. You may not get the right lender. And we have a specific lender who works specifically for your file, who is in a better partnership with us. And they are very legit and the best out there with better benefits and better flexibility and a lot more stuff that they may not be asking for in certain parts of collateral. You may have saved yourself on that or on a down payment or fees, more importantly than anything, the origination cost of all this. So you want to do it somewhere in-house that I recommend. And so that's why it is best going through me. And then there are a lot of bonuses that come outside of this. But credits will get people, profitability, low debt, low credit utilization, minimal inquiries, nothing bad on your credit reports, and so on. Plus, you have to demonstrate significant use for funds of growth and expansion and not just recovery like the EIDL loan. You'll need at least 155 plus FICO SBSS score, which is business liquid credit. If you don't have it, but you have strong enough personal FICO, we can look at that and override it in some cases. So just think about that when you're getting over 350,000 too specifically. So the documentations that I need, a lot of people have submitted some of them today. I will be getting more of them throughout the week. Plenty of you did, and a lot of you have been processed today. And yeah, I made it a mention to you. If you're watching me right now, you might know who you are. Documents that I will need from you are the 2021 business bank statements, and this is for the previous year, of course. If we're in 2023, we're looking at 2022. So just look at it, consider it that way. 2020 and 2021 profit and loss and balance sheet, your year-to-date profit and loss, and then the balance sheet, at least through the quarter one. Previous 3 years, and that quarter one may be moved up a little bit as we move on, but quarter one, a lot of the times, previous 3 years of business and personal tax returns, your aging AR/AP reports, the business debt schedule, your application sent via HelloSign, and sometimes I'll tell you I've attached it here, and you'll see it in like the questionnaire when I submit it back to you, and so forth. This is what it could look like when you get a questionnaire response back from me. If you meet these requirements and are willing to be patient enough to send me your documentation via email and for what is asked for right above, and you don't mind waiting the months to get your funds for the SBA, then we can explore this option. And also remember, we can also evaluate you for the term loan, the cash advance, or the line of credit. If you need funds very quickly, that is the way to go. And so there's a little bit more there. An application, a lot of the times we want you to submit something digitally. We have a PDF version and just documentation that I need, possibly other SBA options, but I'll tell you if they're good or not, if they're the best for you, and then there are other options available. So from that on, now let me jump quickly to the Sspci program. I have a document here that I'm going to quickly run through, but a lot of states have been opening, and there are even more that have been pumping more money into it as we speak today. But states that have been open, these are just some of the many, but you have Arizona, Hawaii, Indiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan getting approved a lot. Michigan actually has 236 million approved, and that's not the highest. We have Pennsylvania 268 and above, and more states will continue to get money for these grants, business loans, and equity. So again, remember, if you're not receiving grants within those states and you're checking them, come back. I'll keep you guys updated on what's happening and what kind of organizations are appearing, because not everyone has the equity. Not everybody has the business loans and grants. It might be one or the other, but it's just a matter of time for more states to be getting more money. And you can do a quick search on Google, SSBCI, next to it your state, and then you're in. And then you can go find those organizations within the Treasury Department. Just remember, a lot of these funds were deposited from different COVID relief funding programs that didn't get passed. And so that's what you want to look at, and the available help that is there. So I'm going to end it on this last note. Let me move the screen over. So what you're looking at is the questionnaire. Some of you may have already brought it up. And what you can do is complete it to get a personalized and customized email response from yours truly for the best funding option and options. Plus, you'll get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding much faster. There'll be things like your name, your email, phone number. Mobile is preferred. That way I can just text you when I sent you that email response. I go, hey, I sent you this email response from the subject line from, make sure you refer to it. It can land here and there. That's why I prefer that. Please, if you put a business number, it's okay, but you won't usually receive that text message. And I'm sure you don't want me to go through your gatekeeper. Perhaps you do. And I don't want to have to become where I'm having to call once or twice a week or once every other week or two, just so I can get a hold of you. You don't answer your emails. You've gone incognito. You don't even know what you're doing. You just decided you do your own thing, which wasn't what you want to do. And you don't want to do any of that. So I'm not going to heckle you or pressure you. It's just to tell you, hey, you have my number now. You can text me anytime you want. I won't be bothering you. Just funding amount that you're requesting. What's your time in business? Please specify years or months. Please do that. I don't want to go continuously looking for everybody's information out there and seeing, okay, I know their business name. I'm going to search them online, see if I can find their business, time, and so forth. And then sometimes you don't have that. So it makes it much more difficult. I have to go through pages and I have to reply back to you and ask you or not ask you, and then have to come up with more of an assumption of a ballpark on what you can actually get approved for, because time in business does matter. And I'll take the time to look for it, but just have it all there, please. FICO credit score. I'm not a creditor. This is just to see what you can get. It helps me understand your best funding option and options. Do you have business credit established? Yes or no? Please specify. And then actually, I'm going to do a quick example here. If you guys haven't seen how this works, maybe you have already, so just stick with me. Just quick numbers, lowest monthly revenue, blah, 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 blah. That's just a random number. Here we go. I know that number doesn't make sense, but we're just going to go with it. But it's asking you over here, after your lowest month, we're going to ask for your average monthly revenue, average daily bank balance, annual gross revenue. And I had it at times where it was a bit different, so I may update this over time, or it might stay the same where I ask for a little bit more. What are you using it for? There's a big scroll down here. Might be being used for, let's see. We'll just put expansion there. Existing business loan, yes, makes a big difference if you do have one. If it's idle, it's not usually directly correlated to other types of funding programs, also like the SBA 7A, so it doesn't usually affect it. Business industry, I don't know if it's going to put some numbers. It's not even. And what you want to do here, if you're in expansion or whatever it is, put additional notes. Try to be a little bit more specific with me. I'm not expecting you to be 110% as specific, but if you can, great, do it. And if you feel like you need to tell me it over a phone call and it makes sense to do it, then we can get on one. But a lot of that can be avoided, honestly. And it's not because I'm trying to avoid it. It's because it can be done rather quickly. And I'll show you how that's the case in a second. But if you put enough additional details in here that I know what these funds are going for, it makes a big difference for me to know why you need these funds exactly. What is it going to be applied for? What maybe a percentage is. You probably give me 15% inventory where I need to get 100,000 for this. I need inventory. I need marketing, advertising. We're hitting the hard season. The more specific, the better. But I'm just going to put something very quickly. I submit it. And here is what nobody else does what I do. And this is so effective and so helpful and more efficient. And so it'll say you're all set, received your information. You're going to get a follow-up email from me. Please look in all folders. Spam, junk box, promotional tab, social media. A lot of you will not do this. I had a lot of clients recently who went their own route, who got approved for a good amount, and they thought they went through me. They didn't. Maybe that was just an automated response just so you can feel better about things. Hey, it's okay. Be honest about what you did and own up to it. And so please go through your spam box. If it's there, junk box, promotions tab, social, main inbox, use the search feature, etc. But if I give you a response back, don't be like, well, I never got, I communicated it with you. I actually sent you 2 to 3, 4 responses in a good amount of time. You just didn't happen to look. Why I was busy? Well, everybody is. You make time for it if it's important for you, don't you? Choose your preferred funding loan type. Right here, there's working capital, cash advance lump sum. There's unsecured term loans. If you qualify for them, 1099 gig worker, startup, personal loan stuff. I'm going to add on to even more. But bank term loans, real estate property, SBA 7A loan, asset-based financing, and not sure, business lines of credits, and a lot more. So this can be updated a little bit more over time. We click there. It might take you to something like this, where you want to watch my introductory video, or it might be looking like a different page. Start now. And then over here, you can watch this video to know the expectations. You can open up another window to see application process, the underwriting guidelines too, for different services. Down here, you can click to get started, or hey, don't transfer your funds. Read this more about how to learn that. Boom, click this. It gets me to another video. It might take you to, or it takes you to a quick questionnaire just to make sure you understand the video and the qualifications thoroughly before you go and apply, because I don't want my time, my energy, the underwriters, the lenders' time to be wasted. And so take the time. It might not go to a questionnaire. It might take you directly to the site where we can already get started on all this. But let me now move this all over. And that's just one of many options. So that's how you can get started in this and get moving forward. Now, that's what I'm going to end it up with. You guys got to understand the EIDL loan increases, everything's how it's been exhausted, what's not being moved, what the senators are doing right now, how they're voicing their thoughts on how this has been handled. Administrator Guzman on her side of the equation. I talked about a letter last week. And then a few other things on like the PPP, the Employee Retention Tax Credit, grant programs. I have grant opportunities. I think they're in the description. I'll try to link you to. And then on top of that, there are more options available. The SBA 7A loan is a top one right now. The commercial real estate through the SBA 7A, as well as commercial property mortgages and all other types of real estate financing you may need. Other business financing like cash advances, unsecured term loans, asset-based financing, equipment's out there, personal/startup loans, angel investors. I just didn't touch upon all of them, but have the expectation in mind that, hey, if this is all I can qualify for, what can my roadmap look like in 3 to 6 months from now? Am I still using this? Am I paying it off? Am I increasing my credit in the meantime, and then I'm getting into something better? Do I increase my revenue to get to this point? I'm going to communicate all that with you. But if nobody else does it, guess what? You're going to end up in a situation where you wish you would have had this earlier and you wasted all this time. Hi, Timothy. I haven't received a direct response from regarding the information I submitted. I've received 3 blanket random emails from your account. Am I missing something? I thought I responded back to you, but I'll look through my emails to make sure I didn't do all that. I'm not too sure about the blanket random emails. Was it like nothing was in the email? Is that what you mean? I get that from individuals too. Sometimes I'm like, so they respond back to me with nothing, and I'll say, hey, I didn't receive nothing in this email. But I'll look through it again. But now that you made a mention of it, Timothy, I'm going to go through it, and I have you at the top of my list. So everybody in here watching, like Timothy just responded with something that's concerning. And what's most important is that he's being responsive. It shows his commitment. I'm not saying it shows just his commitment to me, because that's part of it, but it shows a commitment to himself, and that I know he's going to be an action taker. I know he's not going to be somebody that becomes Homer Simpson, where he goes like this into the bushes. Nobody wants that, right? You don't want employees like that who don't show up to work, who don't give you any kind of feedback when you meet for reports. Nobody needs that. Nobody wants a faulty individual who is going to continue to do something and not ever give any kind of feedback, or not ever even continue. Like, you started something, at least tell me and be honest. You don't want to continue, it's okay. But why did you just disappear? I have people to this day who email me back, who text me back, and I'm pointing at my phone because I received a lot of your guys' today. You disappeared for 3 months. Well, I was just trying to take some time off, and I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. I actually needed 2 more weeks. It's okay. I get it. You need more time, but don't put a time on it. You haven't even responded after those 4 or 5 weeks. Don't put a time on it. I'm punctual. If we were working under me, I don't know if you're a business owner like myself, but I want to be punctual with people. I want to set the right expectations from the start. I want to inform you right. Hey, we're going to be contacting you. This is what we're going to be looking at. Our underwriter may be giving you a call just to speak over this part. So be aware of that when it happens. But if you're that individual, again, who goes, well, I don't need to answer a phone call from blah, 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 blah. Don't ever waste my energy and time. That's just the beginning of it. Like, that then becomes a headache over time, because you keep doing the same thing. But if you're an individual who's like, I don't understand this, Michael, can you please clarify? Yeah, more than happy to. That doesn't mean you're going to go and apply. It just means, hey, I just need more clarity. All right, good. Yeah, I'll help you out on this. Now you take the time. You decide what you want to do with it. But if you continue to come back, you're in the thick of the underwriting, and I need to reach out to you, text message, email. I don't even need to give you a phone call. Do you think you're going to be responsive? Somebody who is already responsive, guess what? They're going to respond back even more because they're showing that commitment. So now let me come over here to the comments. Understood. Yeah. And the thing is, I have to let people know on these consults. I'm going to have to remove sometimes, hopefully, but I'm not always giving you guys a response. Like I can't always make it. And there'll be times where I'll send you guys, hey, I can't make this appointment. And then a lot of the times I'll be like, hey, I just couldn't make it because of projects that came up, a family matter. And I apologize for not making it there. And I get a lot of requests, a lot of people who schedule appointments. So I may be scaling that back a bit. A lot of the times it isn't a legitimate thing. And then a lot of the times it is. And so I'll let you know. And if I don't make it, I'll try to get there in time and I'll give you that time of mine. You can always direct message me and let me know. And we can go over things. So yeah, the emails did have information attached, but it did seem to match my request. You mean, but it didn't, or you mean it did? I also signed up for, okay, got it. And yeah, you're welcome. And I'm going to try again. I'm always there for you guys, and I'll let you guys know if I can't always attend something, and sometimes I can't. And that's just a matter of things going on. And you just have to put yourself in my situation. If it's me, just me handling all this, guess what? Yeah, I may need a VA at some point who says, hey, they scheduled an appointment with you. Here's a reminder. I set those myself, so I remember. I see them in my emails. I put a reminder of them. I put them on my calendar on the physical and on the digital. So it's not like I need a VA at this moment. I could if I wanted to, but I like handling things the way I have them right now. And a lot of people do end up coming to me because it is a personal thing for me. It isn't. Apologize for that if you hear the phone. Spam. It's not about usually just the business for me. It's about you as a human, the factor that I put into that, the time that I care about you. It's not about, hey, can you tell me about your business and how it's just been going? Like I'll ask that question at some point, but I want to know how you're doing. How's your day? Do you have a good weekend? Oh, did you guys end up going to the Saturday market? Oh, okay. How was that? Did you guys end up getting anything? So it's not like you have to open up as much as you want. It's just the problem is I see a lot of people who look at this as just a transaction. You've been programmed to that from other people. I'm not that individual. So it's funny when I reach out back to people, they go, oh, I didn't want the offer or no thanks. And then they just disappear and I give them more information and they go, they just never said anything back. So they just looked at it as a transaction. I don't look at it like that. But a lot of people do. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. Those of you who contributed and were courageous enough and brave to comment. I know how hard it can be, especially as an introvert, to put yourself out there. And even if you didn't, I appreciate you a lot. You're no different. You're just probably new or you're just trying to listen. I'm an observer like yourself. I'm a listener. And I really want to understand this guy. I want to see if he's legitimate. He really does help. He has my best interest at heart, not just some other person. I go talk to a receptionist, an advisor. They don't always give you all the information like I do, like what I know. And it doesn't work best like that. Shouldn't do it. That's why strategic partnership and a roadmap is the best way to go, whether you're going through a direct lender that I'm referring you to or it's indirect. In this market, a lot of it can be indirect because of the flexibility and how a lot of lenders are restricting giving money out unless they know someone and they have better partnerships with myself and other individuals. So it's better in your interest to do it that way. And keep looking out for your emails. I'm going to be responding back to some questionnaires this week, some emails as well. There are a lot of them unflooded. And so please be patient with me. If you want to appear at the top, like Timothy here, give feedback. You know, he's showing up. And if you want to respond back to an email, do that so it appears at the very top and I see it right away or I can move it. But don't go cold turkey. Don't just become that individual who just disappears and is never heard of until 7 months later or never again. And you're wondering why you didn't get a better offer this time around because you screwed yourself. I can't put it in a better way. I have to say it like that. And if the truth hurts, hey, it hurts. I'll put it in a lighter way. I won't say it like that if we're talking. I don't like saying bad things or negative things. I don't think that was negative. It's just you just put yourself in a bad situation. That's it. How do we get out of it? Oh, we can get out of it this way, or we can't get out of this because you're just fooling around and you never gave me feedback. We can't trust you. You got the best lender. We don't trust you. Where was the feedback when we asked for it? Why are you still searching for offers? Well, I didn't like the rate, and well, there's a roadmap here that I discussed with you before we applied. Did you not take that serious? Do you think I was just kidding? You think I was just telling you something for my best interest? And when you have that aha moment, will it be too late? That's what you got to ask yourself. That's it for now. Talk later. Bye.